Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I want to do a quick video talking about this progression I've kind of been noticing over the last couple of sets, months, years, whatever you want to call it. I guess it's just kind of been a longer span than that. But basically, it's the idea that the idea of in archetype hand traps have becoming way more common. And this felt like it was always the progression. I remember like a while back when like Infernoid was really good, and they weren't really hand traps. But once they jumped on the board, they were basically just interruptions. So this one's like a weird one. There's these weird ones that like the old ones that just they needed too much setup. Sub-tier Fiendus was another one where not necessarily did I ever think that we needed an archetype that had an Omni Negate going second, but if you weaken the type of interruption it is, and it's just a decent interruption or gets your engine started, but being able to use it going second can actually be a really big leg up. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now is some of the best decks in the game are taking advantage of this, of being able to do stuff like that, get things going immediately. And very, very recently, we've seen big upgrades on this idea. So these are a bunch of different categories I kind of broke these up into. I'm sure there's others. If there's other in archetype, that's the key here is in archetypes. That way, when you're playing a theme, something we always like have focused on, not always, but for the last couple of years is like, how much non-engine can I fit? How many hand traps do you have in your deck? Well, if your deck naturally has 3 bonus hand traps because it has a one, not a one of, but a 3 of one card that actually is like an interruption or gets your engine going to help break a board, that can kind of factor into the numbers when you're looking at how confident you feel with your deck going second. So that's kind of what we look at here. There's a bunch of different options here. So just going through the categories, let's start at the bottom here. Even though these aren't hand traps at all, these are your elite engine breakers. These are 2 very new ones, the new Poseidra, the Storming Atlantean, and Extrazial. These cards are elite board breakers, but they're in engine, which is really cool. And while X is insanely strong and sometimes feels a little too strong, and kind of same thing with Poseidra, because it's an engine, because it's a board breaker and not a hand trap, it actually feels like they actually just feel like really good, but still fair enough cards. I guess the biggest difference between them is that X is actually just still so nasty going first. It's like still the best starter, and Poseidra is uh he's an extender going first, but he's not really like a full-on starter without being paired with something else. So he's a little more fair in that regard. But having the dual utility of like not being dead going first, like still being a card that can contribute and being an elite board breaker is like really powerful. And I definitely wouldn't be mad if they continue down this line of card design going forward. This would be really cool if we saw more cards like these, maybe not just quite as like perfect utility as X'd, but like in this same vein of still being able to help you break a board. Next tier needs setup. A lot of these are older, and like the problem with them is like going second, they're not really doing anything to like stop your opponent. They're not really hand traps in that regard. Like Sting Lancer, I still think Sting Lancer has a ton of potential. And like if we get the right insect support, insect archetype, whatever, this card could be unlocked, but it needs an insect engrave. The new Primite card needs like a vanilla on field kind of thing. Um, the Infernoids are weird because they weren't really hand traps, but they were all kind of like DD Crows on field. So they're a weird one, but again, like don't really work going second. Fiendus, again, it didn't do anything going second. You had to like use it on your turn when you tried to play into a board going second, and so it was just a little too slow. Mercurier, same thing. And Kieran, even though Kieran reads like it could be the kind of card that could be in like the needs to pair category, it's just Fire King doesn't really have a card to pair with it that really like you can get some of your engine going turn 1, but you're not really like making an interruption for your opponent as far as I know. I don't know the deck inside and out, but like as far as I know, you're not really like making interruptions with this. But if you think it should move up, it could also potentially find itself in this tier up here. The next tier is need some help. These cards are technically hand traps, but they're just not good enough. Or Sarctic technically has, they all are like quick effects where they can jump on the field, but like a lot of them needed like, you need like 3 cards in hand. And even when you do, you're just getting like a Book of Moon going second as a hand trap, which is decent. It'd be good if it only cost you 1 card, but costing 2 or 3 is just, it's too much. It's not worth it. Amazement. I still think this guy is actually good. It's just they didn't really make anything else for Amazement that was worth it. So maybe if they came back to Amazement, there could be something cool there. But for now, it's just that. And then you have the Goblin Bikers. Their interruptions are just so niche. It is Exceed decks only, and they're not even impactful unless you're playing an Exceed deck that like specifically gets interrupted by losing one material on a monster. So from that standpoint, you just kind of lose me a little bit. It's such a specific niche and matchup situation for this for like these cards to actually be impactful hand traps. So they still kind of miss for me. If they had one that said like remove all materials, I'd be a little more into it, but removing one is not even that impactful in a lot of cases. Next up, you move to your dice roll hand traps. These are not dice roll meaning like if you lose the die roll, it's bad that you have to win the die roll. It's dice rolling in that like they give you a chance to interrupt your opponent, but like it's never guaranteed. Haveness just being a card that lets you mill a couple, and so if you just whiff on the mill, it doesn't do anything, right? Now in Tearlament, it still felt fairly consistent with even with the mills that this would still hit something most of the time, whether it was in its heyday with the Ishizu fairy cards or whatever. But yeah, at least there is some RNG to it. Same thing with this guy, and he's a little more safe. You do have to play the one brick, but if you play him, you're getting a draw two discard one, which can be very useful. And even if it's not necessarily hand traps, it can board breakers, whatever. But it is worth noting it's RNG. You are just drawing random cards, and sometimes those cards are not going to help you as often as other times. So it's still dice rolly there. And then Vados is kind of here just because he again, kind of niche. It's like Goblin Biker, but he's just better than the Goblin Biker cards. Like a lot of decks play field spells and have ways to search their field spells. Think about Blue Eyes. Think about what are the new ones? Yummy plays through its field spell. Um, uh, Malice in some cases going through their field spell. What else is really good? Vanquish Soul is now going through their new field spell in a lot of cases. So like, there's just a lot of decks that go through those cards, and so this guy's actually pretty decent there, even as a generic card, but in its own archetype where you already have to play it. If it's in a format or a matchup where it actually is already just generically another hand trap and puts in work, then icing on the cake. So I still like that there. Then we get to like we start getting to the elite sides of things. So these are the cards. These are all really good. This needs to pair tier. The problem is they need to pair. They need to pair with something. So we have the new Draco Tail fusion, or girl who can fuse from hand. You discard her to just do a fusion summon. It is going to require 3 cards from hand basically because you have to use her and then use 2 other monsters in hand. But if you're using another Draco Tail monster, it's triggering to set you another card. So you're going to get at least a resource back for one of them, if not 2, depending on what you were able to send. There's also the possibility I've seen in the OCG them already tech like Shadalls in this deck. So like if you're pitching a Shadal off of this, they're triggering to get you either more resources or a bonus interruption. And so since this is a quick effect, going second, you can just quick fuse into one of the fusions that's already interrupting your opponent. And depending on what else you send, you could be getting another interruption as well, which is pretty strong. Very similar to Labyrinth, I would say. Arius just being able to set a normal trap is crazy, right? Being able to Daruma Karma Cannon, somebody going second, really, really strong. We've even seen post side some people just play, potentially being able to debarrier your opponent going second or first. But specifically, that's kind of the scenario we're talking about here for this video. Like the difference between a hand trap and just a good engine card is that a hand trap can start doing stuff on your opponent's turn when they go first. So just being able to set powerful traps here is crazy. These guys are interesting. The furnitures are a little more interesting because like they kind of need a little bit more of a pairing. They can get your engine going, specifically these two, but if you play Absolute King Backjack or you play the Ishizu fairies, I know were like a little bit popular a while ago. Like if you're pitching one of those, you might actually be finding like a pretty powerful interruption going second while getting your engine started, which can be really strong, but they kind of need a pairing. Um, Same thing with Kukulak. He's just in here because he can be pitched turn one. He kind of just falls in with the rest of the labyrinths. Vanquish Soul Holy Sue, she is a huge, huge card for this deck, and now being able to play a very heavy Vanquish Soul engine package really works with this card because it just increases the chances of you having all the attributes you need. You do need to have the attributes to make her work, though. But man, if you do, this card allows you to like get your engine going, get like interruptions on your opponent's turn 0, and just get so much going. It makes for a really strong strategy that is okay with going second. Multi-Faker was an elite going like hand trap. The problem is it need to be paired with Imperm. And unfortunately, because Altergeist is like all different attributes, I don't think they can make use of either of the Dominus cards perfectly. Unless some of their attributes line up better than I'm thinking. I don't think they utilize the Dominuses, so it's not like they have a second hand trap. If they had like 6 cards to pair it with, I'd feel a little better about it. But unfortunately, there's just not. It's just really Imperm was like the most elite way to use Multi-Faker, because Multi-Faker is going to could get you to a bounce on your opponent's turn. Um, and so Imperm plus a bounce is quite strong. That can end some turns. But until they get more like traps that can activate from the hand going second on the opponent's turn to be actual interruptions, like Multi-Faker's kind of still waiting for more tools like that. There. Then you have the new Malice Girl. Now, she, I think, is a weird one because I don't think she leads directly to interaction necessarily. She helps you get bodies in rotation and get names on field before your turn. That way you already have stuff to make an SP to play into a board before you even have to actually start committing more names and stuff, and it does it really efficiently. You do have to open her with another name that you can banish in hand, but if you do, you can definitely get names rotating really early. And then the elites. These cards have seen play generically, right? Obviously, the Bestial package, has seen play all over the place just as good generic cards. But sometimes people also play just the full Bestial engine with Lubellion and everything. And then Magnamute's even better because now in going first scenarios, you have 3 more copies of it. It's like searching you parts of your engine as a part of just searching another, Bestial hand trap. That's really cool. And when it's part of your deck, like Dragon Link or just another dragon deck, it has really, really powerful applications. And then the new one, Izuna. Well, the new one is like Draco Tail Femena, Vanquish Soul Holy Sue, March Hare, and kind of Izuna here. So we've been seeing quite a few very recently. Izuna's just crazy. This to me is almost like the new Psyframe Gamma package where you play the 1 brick, but you have 3 really powerful hand traps that give you multiple options from what you want to make with your rank 5 summon. And it also has like less restriction on it, way less restriction on it. Whereas Gamma was like, you have to have no monsters on field. So like going first, it could be choppy. You can go first. And if you just draw this, hold in hand, you can still just do it, I'm pretty sure, on the opponent's turn. So it's really quite strong. And I think this is kind of the direction. I actually think that just makes more sense. Just if when you want to give an archetype a nice like boost and option, if it's a deck that kind of wants to play heavier engine, it can only get to 12, 13 non-engine. You're like, okay, for modern day standards, that's not a ton. But when you have Draco Tail Femena in there, that's kind of like 3 more hand traps. When you have 3 Holy Sue, that's kind of like 3 more hand traps. 3 Arius feels like 3 hand traps because him plus any like good normal trap, basically a hand trap, right? So I think this is a direction we'll continue to see, especially since like they've been really effective so far, right? Like I think Konami might be learning here that by taking this new route in card design, or at least ramping up this route in card design, it's been leading to success. It seems like they wanted to make these archetypes good, so they gave them good in-archetype hand trap monsters, and it's been leading to good success on these as far as these new ones go. So yeah, it's cool. I'm curious. I'm curious where else they take it. What are the directions they could go? What archetypes feel like a hand trap in archetype would feel perfect for them? But this is just a cool direction. I just want to kind of talk more about it and just kind of go over what we've been seeing as of late, because it seems like it's just what we're going to see more and more of going forward. But yeah, those are my thoughts there. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is there any obvious ones that I missed? I kind of like skimmed through and went off the top of my head on what I could think of. But if there's any other in-archetype hand traps that you think are worth mentioning for this video, throw them in the comment section down below. And also just your general thoughts on this. Do you like this new idea in card design, or do you prefer that decks just have their engine, have hand traps, and you keep them separate rather than trying to like kind of blend and blur the line between them? I'm curious where you guys land on that. But I'm at it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned for more. I know it's been kind of slow this past week with news, and I just been kind of taking it a little bit easier on forcing content. But as I have stuff I want to talk about, we'll get it out there as well as news whenever it drops. So stay tuned to the channel for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.